Hello Mathemateurs, this is Dr. Tapper again, and this video is about the properties of numbers, the rules that you can apply in order to do the mental math that we've seen in number talks and in other places. The first property is the commutative property, and many kids refer to this as the turnaround property. When we use this property for addition or multiplication, it cuts the number of multiplication or addition facts we have to learn in half, because we know that the turnaround fact equals exactly the same amount. 6 plus 4 is going to equal 10, and 4 plus 6 is going to equal 10. 2 times 3 is going to equal 6, and 3 times 2 is going to equal 6. But what happens when we try to apply this commutative property, note it's commutative property, to subtraction or division? Well, clearly there's a problem with subtraction. If we subtract 2 from 4, we do not get the same thing as if we subtract 4 from 2. However, we can notice that the amounts are similar, it's just that the signs are different. What we could do if we wanted the commutative property to work for subtraction is we'd have to put absolute value signs around what goes on either side of the equation. When we put absolute value signs there, whatever answer comes out, whether it's positive or negative, we write it as if it's positive. This will remind some of you of some of the things you did when you were in high school, and maybe even some of you were paying attention then. With division, though, the whole commutative property kind of breaks down. Even if we were to take the absolute value, what we're still ending up with is reciprocals. Although this is an interesting way to think about reciprocals as being kind of turnaround facts with the same numbers using division. The associative property, particularly of addition, allows us to regroup numbers and get exactly the same answer no matter how we group them, as long as there are addition signs here. So notice that 6 plus 4 plus 2 is the same as 6 plus 4 plus 2. In both cases, we're going to end up with 12. This associative property also allows us to do all the interesting things that we do during number talks to rearrange numbers and make them more interesting or easy to deal with. So we can use the expanded numeral for 642 and find out that it's 6 hundreds and 40 tens and 2 ones. Or we can rearrange what's going on in here and turn it into something that might work better for us. I'm not sure that 12 times 50 is necessarily as easy to deal with as 6 times 100, but we could do it. 20 times 20 and 40 times 10 also are very similar. We're regrouping, we're rearranging the same numbers inside, and this is the associative property. Finally, the distributive property is one I am sure you all remember from high school. It simply says that I can distribute across parentheses provided there's an addition sign in here. If I stick a multiplication sign in here, all bets are off. So I distribute the 2 to the 7 and the 5, and I end up with this. It works also if there's a negative sign in there, as long as we're using additive operations within the parentheses. It's going to work out just fine. Hopefully this looks familiar. Okay, so to sum up, we have the commutative property. It's the turnaround property, and it works for addition and for multiplication. The associative property, which allows us to rearrange numbers in ways that make adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing them more accessible, easier, more straightforward. And the distributive property, which allows us to break down numbers with parentheses and turn them into simpler problems, to distribute a multiplier across the quantities inside the parentheses. So those three properties also have lots of links connected to them on the web. Google any one of them and you can find many explanations, from Wikipedia to very mathematical explanations. I particularly like the ones at Ask Dr. Math. And these two guys are my latest students. They've been thinking about these properties almost as hard as you have.